Hello everybody, in this tutorial I'm going to show you 3 ways to create gradients in Photoshop by recreating this image of snooker balls on a snooker table. So let's get started. Okay, so here we are inside Photoshop. Now the first thing I want to go through is how to do gradients using the gradient tool. So if we go over to the left and select the gradient tool, now if you see the paint bucket tool, it might look like this, in which case just hold left click and the gradient tool will appear in the little pop-up navigation bar. So let's select that. Okay, so now if we simply just hold down and drag, we can create a gradient. Now if we hold down shift and drag, we can create a perfectly straight gradient, whichever way we want. Okay, so what happens if we wanted to do different colours? If we go up to the top bar here and click this gradient editor, then we can change the colours. So by clicking this box on the far left, we can select, say, red, and on this box here on the far right, we can select another colour. So let's choose yellow, hit OK, and now you can see it's changed from red to yellow here at the top. So again, with the gradient tool selected, just hold and drag, and there you have your gradient. Now you can do it either way you want, up, down, left, right, or even on an angle. By holding shift you can actually keep it dead straight. Okay, so let's go ahead and create the snooker table. Alt backspace to colour it with the foreground colour, which is white. So let's go up to the top and create that green. Now I have already got it saved here, but I'm going to delete this. Delete gradient. I'm going to start all over again. So let's say we start with the standard black and white. So let's click on this first box and make this green, somewhere about there, and then this far right box, let's double click that and create a slightly darker green, say to about, make it about there, and then hit OK. So this is going to go from light to dark green. So we create the gradient tool, we'll start at the top, hold shift and let go, and there we have the actual snooker table done. Super easy. Okay, so let's make some balls. So I'm going to go over to the left hand side of the toolbar and select the ellipse tool. Is it eclipse? Ellipse. It's ellipse tool. Let's create a circle by holding shift and dragging. Okay, so let's get rid of the stroke on this, we want transparent, and let's change the fill to gradient. And here you probably see this familiar little colour bar, so let's click that. And let's choose this default black and white again. Now we want this ball to be black, but we don't really want it to be linear from top to bottom like that, we want it to be radial. So if we go back to the properties box where we selected the gradient fill, we can change this from linear to radial. And there we go. So it's looking a little bit more like a snooker ball. So let's click on this color flow again on the gradient editor. And it's a bit too white. So I'm going to double click the white and I'm going to move it down a bit. Make it a bit more grey. So it's a little less reflective. And we'll keep it at that. Hit OK and move that out of the way. So there we have one ball with a simple radial gradient. But what if we wanted to move the gradient? Maybe we don't want it bang in the middle like that. Dead easy to change. Just go over to the layer and double click inside the frame here, and this opens up the gradient fill dialog box. Now simply just left click over the gradient and move it around, and you can put it anywhere. In this case I'm going to just put it in sort of top left corner there and hit OK. Okay, so a third way to create a gradient in Photoshop is by using the layer effects. So let's create a new layer and create another ellipse. Make it a bit smaller than the first one so we can make it appear to be behind the black ball. And we'll remove the stroke and we'll just make this one plain black. And we'll move it behind this ball here, just so it gives the appearance of being behind. Put that there. Okay, so now if we double click the layer we bring up the layer style panel box and just go over to gradient overlay and select that. Now you can see it's instantly created a gradient pretty much in the same way as it did with the first ball. And we just again click here to get the gradient editor. We can change these two colors. So say we wanted this red, so let's make this black part bright red. Oh, a bit bright, that'll do. And let's change this white to slightly off white, to sort of about, say about there. I'm actually going to make this red a little bit darker. Oh, not blue. Make it about there, that'll do. And then hit OK. And there we have our second ball behind the black ball. Cool. Okay, so let's use a gradient again to add a shine effect. So first we'll go over to the ellipse again. Well, firstly we'll create a new layer. And then create an ellipse tool just over the ball here, just so it's kind of roughly at the top where we want the reflection to be, and let go. Now I've been using this properties box to change the stroke and the fill color of this shape. Now you can do it up at the top, you don't have to do it from here. So up at the top, do exactly the same thing. We'll just remove the stroke, select the fill, and we'll use the gradient. Okay, so let's click the gradient editor again and bring that up. So here we have black to white. Now the white's fine, we kind of want it white at the top, we just want to graduate it down to completely opaque at the bottom. So how do we do that? Easy. All we have to do is select this top box here, which is the opacity. So now if we set that right down to 0, so it's totally opaque, and then slowly move it up, this shows how much of the gradient you want to see. It kind of cuts out and creates a stop point. So let's move it to about there. And this little diamond, when you click this sets the gradient within that range. So let's bring it down a bit to about there and hit OK. So that's pretty much done. So let's move it up a little bit. Move it up to the top. Now you can play around with this for a while, really, just getting it kind of looking right. You want it kind of near the top, so it fits in with the circle. Okay, so that looks okay for now. So I'm just going to quickly duplicate this and put it onto the other ball. Okay, so I think I've covered the basics of creating gradients in Photoshop. Now I've just created some shadows and some drop shadows here just to make it look a little bit more realistic. Obviously I didn't go through this with you because you might find it a bit boring. It's not really what the tutorial was about. If you do want any tutorials on how to create the shadow effects, then let me know and I'll create a video on it. And I also really think it would be cool to do an advanced gradient tutorial as well, studying this bar, how we add colours, how we remove colours, what these bars all mean. Now I'll probably go through that in a future video. So thanks for watching, leave your comments below and I'll see you again soon.